Hey, horror fans, welcome back to J vs. Horror. Today we are reviewing a film for the Horror Movie Review Maniacs group on Facebook. This week's film was picked by Amy Covion, and she chose the 2018 movie Derailed. That's a big D dash railed. And it's a film you can find on Tubi. We'll put the link in the description so you guys can check it out for free if you want to. And we are collaborating today. We have Regina with us from Girls Love Horror 2 and Cinebabe. She's going to be giving us her thoughts on the film. Derailed is a 2018 horror film written and directed by Dale Fabriger. It stars a whole bunch of people who really don't matter because they're terrible actors, and it also has Lance Henriksen in it for about 10 seconds. So that's a little bit of the background on this film. It follows the passengers on a train that crashes into a river who must decide whether to risk waiting for help in the wreckage or take their chances in the murky depths below. That's the synopsis that you get from IMDb, but that's pretty terrible as a synopsis, as the film is kind of all over the place and spends an hour doing one thing and 30 minutes doing another. So that's not a very exact synopsis, I would say. It's more like a Clue meets creature feature, and I'll let that stir in your mind for a little bit, and we'll pass it over to Regina, and we'll get Regina's thoughts.
Hey, horror fans. Okay, so I really wanted to love this movie because creature features are my forte. I'm really big into them, so I'm like, yeah, let's see how this goes. And I was thinking more along the lines of a bunch of passengers on a train having to fight off some creature in the water, which I guess it's a little bit like that, but overall what I got is not at all what I expected. Alright, so the film starts off with Halloween going on, and normally movies that start off like this, to me, I can almost pinpoint that it's either A, mainly for kids, or B, just a really bad movie. So, of course, Trick or Treat kind of starts like that, but that's an anthology film, so we won't even get into that. But, anyhow, so it starts off with Halloween, and I'm immediately just, what? Okay. Not at all what I expected thus far. And it shows this group of kids, teenagers, and they're talking amongst themselves and whatnot, and then they come upon this train, and this creepy guy walks by them, and they have regular teenager banter, and he gives them a creepy look and keeps on walking, and they're like, have a happy Halloween, or a nice Halloween costume. I can't remember. It was one of those two things. But anyhow, so it's like, but those kids don't matter, because the next thing you see is one of the kids is looking at the train, and this girl walks up that looks like she's in 60s, kind of a 60s dress. She's dressed up like that, and she has the wavy hair and whatnot. And so the teenager's completely mesmerized by her, and then all these other people come up behind her, and you think that something mystic is happening. But not so much. The girl goes on her way, and it's just a bunch of people dressed up that are getting ready to go on this train. And then, okay, so they call it the murder train. They get on this train, it's the murder train, it's kind of a Halloween thing, yada yada yada, that's why everybody's dressed up the way they are. And it turns into something like Clue. totally, completely far left for me. What the hell is going on? What is this? And then after that, it, they start getting held up, and then a guy tries to come to the rescue, and so he pulls a gun on the guy who's standing up the train, who has his gun on him, and then you see a third gun, and lo and behold, one of the what I almost said stewardess, but this isn't a plane, but one of the servers on the train is in cahoots with the robber. Oh no, I can't buy into this crap. Oh my god. And then after a whole bunch of other stuff pertaining to that whole thing, the train crashes into what they say is the middle of a lake. Now, I don't know, but I mean, I kind of grew up around a lake, and if a train crashes into the middle of a lake, that train is going to be submerged. Oh no, this is not the case. I also have to point out that there is so much train stock videos going on during this whole crash scene. And I almost want, I don't drink, but still I have this thing where I come up with these drinking games when something starts getting a little bit ridiculous. And I'm like, take a shot every single time you see a stock video of a train. So instead of being submerged, though, this train that is supposed to be in the middle of this lake or river or whatever, it's not completely submerged. Part of it is sticking out of the water. It's not floating or anything. I mean, okay, I get it. This film is low budget. I hope it's low low budget, because if it's not low budget, then somebody needs to be shot. But I have seen better low budget films than this by far. I've seen worse ones too, don't get me wrong. But after all the after the trains being submerged and everything, and I can't point this out enough, the acting is so laughably bad. I just don't know where to go with this one. So finally we get to the creature feature part of the film, right? And of course you've got your regular guy who has the long bangs that thinks he's going to be a badass, and we got to get out of here. And he's not harrowing by any stretch of the imagination. He's just so cliche it ain't even funny. So he thinks that he's hanging out the door of this train, and he's like, I don't know, I think I might see land. Mind you, there's this whole land mass with trees and everything behind him. All behind him and off to the sides and whatnot. But he's hanging out, and he's looking, he's like, I think I may have seen land. Or, nope, it's all lake. It's just lake. And I'm like, are you serious, man? Okay. So he thinks he's gonna go out, and he's gonna swim out to see if he can see anything else. And he says, I think I see land. Well, cue, he starts swimming back, and cue creature of the film, right? The guy is freaking out. There's something in this water with me. Yada yada, yakety shmackety. You got the old, he's being pulled under the water scene. He's made it, and all this stuff. It is just absolutely ridiculous when you actually get to see a full depiction of the creature. He's kind of like a creature from the Black Lagoon. He looks very much like that, except for his face is just a whole bunch of rows of teeth and whatnot. And you've got some arms pulling off and whatnot. That I mean, not great effects, not great acting. The movie's kind of all over the place. I didn't have real high expectations for this one, but I definitely didn't expect it to be laughably bad. It has the kind of filmography that I would expect to see in old black and white movies. Except for it's not. It's a 2018 film. And like I said before, yeah, I get it. Low budget. I've seen better low budget films. A whole lot better low budget films. A number one low budget film that was 1,000,001 times better is Evil Dead. The great popular Evil Dead. It was low budget as heck. And it did a far better job than this. Definitely not the same era, but I mean the point is that you could do a good job on a low budget. And this movie just did not deliver. I don't know. It was laughable. I kind of give it. Man. I kind of give it a 3 out of 10. I mean, definitely not my cup of tea. I almost gave it lower, but I'm like, that's not fair because, I mean, some people might like this film. I mean, there are some people that are so into cheese and so into bad acting and everything else that they will eat this up. But it is definitely not for me. So I'm going to kick it back over to Jay and see what he has to say.
Well, for the most part, I would say I agree with all that. The movie is bad. It doesn't know where it's headed. It doesn't seem like. Maybe they did know where they were headed and they were just trying to figure out how to get there and make the film interesting in the process. But they have several subplots. Like Regina said, the film starts out one way. We see these young kids. It's Halloween. We have no idea why everybody's here at the train station for Halloween. But they are. And then we see what appear to be like some ghostly people enter the train, and then it changes. The story changes from there and becomes about this murder mystery. But it's a little jarring because you're like trying to figure out, are these people in costume? Are they in costume because it's Halloween, but they're all dressed the same? It didn't need to be Halloween for this story to work. They could have written something different there, and it would have been made it much clearer as to what was actually happening. So then, as the train moves on, we're introduced to this game that they're going to play, this mystery game, and then the train gets robbed, and of course, it's like, how did you not see it coming? And of course, there's a train, there's going to be a robbery, right? And it just plays dumb. The guy who's trying to be the tough guy plays dumb, and there's some really bad scenes here. Regina mentioned the one with the gun that I think both of us laughed out loud when it started. It was just terrible. Oh, there's another gun behind your head too, and that kind of stuff. It's schlocky. When it gets about 45 minutes into it before it ever gets to where it's trying to go, I guess, which is funny for a train movie where the train is headed nowhere, and the train crashes into a river. It's actually a river, but it's right in the middle of the river. But the train doesn't submerge. They could literally, if that's the case, then why don't you just get out and walk over to, land? And they act like they can't see land, but the way it's shot, we can all see it very clearly. So it becomes pretty ridiculous. And, the creature's pretty bad. They finally introduced the creature. I think it was terrible. It's just a rehash of the creature from the Black Lagoon, but it's not nearly as good. I saw a film a while back that did something similar called Hypothermia. It starred Michael Rooker, and it was a cheap film just like this. It was done on the ice. This family was out ice fishing, and another family was there, and they ended up getting stuck there by this, trapped there by this creature that keeps coming up out of the ice. and it was a similar creature design. It was a really bad creature design, but the movie worked because the story worked. And this one doesn't do that. The story doesn't work. The acting is so bad it's hard to buy anything. There are scenes that just you see that the director here doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They stay on stuff too long, and then they switch to something else, and it's just they make their own film look ridiculous. And then the crash scene is terrible. It's just chopped together from different stuff and some bad effects thrown in there. Yeah, everything about the movie is pretty bad. I don't think it's good at all, to be honest with you. And I usually don't talk about films I don't like, but we're doing this for Horror Movie Review Maniacs. This is the movie that was chosen this week. It was chosen at random. I don't think the person who picked it had seen it either, so we all kind of went in blind, and that's fun sometimes. With this one, it would be great if this movie was so bad it's good, but it's not. It actually, you can see that they were being ambitious to a degree and thought they were going for something that was working, and the whole time it's all failing. There is a twist to the end that kind of goes back to the beginning a little bit, but it's far too late to make any difference in the story for what anyone cares about. And it just kind of tries to wrap everything up with a neat little bow to finish it off. Terrible movie. I will say that. The best review for this movie would be one that my buddy Nathan Bartleball sometimes gives films. When you ask him, you'll say, Nathan, what did you think about this movie? And Nathan will say, well, it's a movie. And that's about the review this one deserves. It is a movie. It is a feature-length film for some reason. So, yeah, I'm going to give it, Regina said 3 out of 10. Why not? I think that's a great score, 3 out of 10. It's got 3.7 on IMDb, and I would imagine that came from the people that worked on it, which is sad because they couldn't even get it, even with those reviews, couldn't get it above 3.7. So that should give you some sense of how good this movie is. You can find it on Tubi TV. We'll put the link to the film in the description below so you can go check it out for yourself. Maybe you think we're full of shit. Maybe we are. Maybe we are full of shit. But neither one of us enjoyed this film at all, and we can't wait to see what next week's film is. So we can review that one. We've had some pretty good ones. We've had a couple stinkers too. You never know what you're going to get, especially when people are picking them at random, which is fun though. I'm not discouraging that in any way. I do like that. It's fun to just kind of randomly pick something that nobody has seen, and we all have to kind of review it together. That's all we got for this week, guys. We will catch you next time. We got something worth talking about. Bye.